This podcast is brought to you by M&S Food, where exceptional quality meets everyday inspiration. At M&S, they believe great food starts with great ingredients, from expertly sourced fresh produce from Ireland and around the world to chef-created dishes that make every meal feel special. So when they say this is not just food, they mean it. As a chef, I've always loved the M&S approach to food, from the sourcing to the standards. It's the kind of attention to detail that really matters in a kitchen. It's food made with purpose, and that's something I can get behind. I'm Mark Moriarty, and this is Roasted. Let's get into it. Welcome to Roasted with me, Mark Moriarty, where I chat with notable people about their lives through the wonderful world of food and drink. Today's guest is one of Ireland's most notable comedians and sketch artists. Hailing from Dublin, she started her comedy career in 2022. Now, we've already done one take of this, and I was about to be corrected. But I'll keep going.
No, not 2022.
With a sellout tour, apparently, according to the website I was doing research on.
That's correct.
Your own. That included 7 nights in Dublin's iconic Vicar Street.
Correct.
Since then, she has appeared in numerous TV series, as well as launching the podcast Keep It Tight with fellow comedian Deirdre O'Kane. Mm-hmm. Her book, Mad Isn't It?, published in 2024 to critical acclaim, a moving memoir about family, friendship, motherhood and risk. Emma Doran, welcome to Roasted.
Thanks for having me. I'm just having your prawns that you prepared for me.
So prawns were the email request of the ingredient you love most at the moment. So you're eating a little
yes, very
Boston
nice.
style prawn
Is that
roll.
what it is? Little Boston style.
Mary Rose sauce,
Lovely.
chili, chives, a little bit of lemon juice to finish it off.
Very tasty.
And you're probably one of the first guests this season who has actually just gone and eaten the dish, which is great.
Oh my God, I was supposed to.
Most people just go, oh, thanks very much, Mark, and then they look at it for the next 45 minutes. Prawns, tell me.
Free dinner. Yeah, eat that.
Very fancy.
I love prawns. I tell you why I like prawns, because especially at the weekends, everyone in my house is like, that's the when you have a pizza, you know, like an oven pizza or whatever. If you have an oven pizza, this is my theory. If you have an oven pizza on a Wednesday, the house is in chaos. Something's not right. If you have it on a Friday or Saturday, that's a weekend dinner. So everyone's kind of having chips and pizza, and I just love to have my prawns.
So
I love my prawns.
Was it prawns you were growing up on in your childhood?
No, I don't even know where the prawns came from. And my dad is originally from Sandymount, and he's big into seafood. He loves prawns, but he eats all kinds of mad stuff as well, but big on fish. So I don't know when I started eating the prawns. When would I have started eating the prawns now? Because they're a bit spenny, aren't they? Like
I was going to say, very fancy, good choice.
Yeah, but I'm only eating the prawns. I'm not teaming them with anything else. Maybe a few cream crackers, but you know what I mean? Because I'm like, this cost me a fair wedge. But they're very good for you, aren't they?
I think so.
I love them. I love prawns.
So do you cook much?
No. Hence prawns. Prawns is a very simple thing to cook. Myself and my partner Shane, we've been together like 18 years. So when we first got together, I did a lot of the dinners. And he would look at the dinners and he was like, who are these dinners for? Because I was recreating the size dinners that my mum did. You know, like big, huge pots of potato and stuff. And he was like, this is too much and whatever. But I did the dinner for years, but now he has started doing the dinners.
Who's better?
I would say, look, it's not that anyone's better. It's just he prefers to follow a recipe. I don't. I prefer to I'll know what the crux of it is, and then I start adding little bits and bobs. He follows a recipe. If the recipe says cut half a pepper, he will cut half a pepper. And I'd be just like, why would you just bang in the whole pepper? So he's more regimented. And I suppose I'm doing a dinner and I'm emptying the dishwasher and, you know, probably might take a few phone calls or whatever. He's more focused on he's making the dinner.
He's one of the people that would be emailing me because he's followed the recipe to the letter.
Yes.
Left the common sense behind, and now there's an issue and it's my problem.
Yes. Oh, that would be him. He's very like that. I'm just more relaxed about it. I'm trying to think whose is better. You see, now, no, I'll tell you the real answer to this question. Who's fussier, me or him? Him. He's real fussy. I'll say thank you for every single meal. Even if I don't like the meal, I say thank you, that was lovely. He'll tell you when he doesn't like the meal, and that's quite annoying to me. And I actually got sick of his lip And I said, well, if you don't like that, you can do the dinners yourself. And he did.
That's what happens.
In a very harmonious, we get along kind of way.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you go out for 18 years.
Yeah.
Where did you meet?
We met in Coppers. So I was in a community radio station in Dundrum, Dum South FM 93.9. And it was only on air, at that time it was only on air from I think like 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 9 o'clock at night. So it was a niche audience. We had a strong following, but they were niche. And he was in Dundrum at the time. He was an electrician. He trained as an electrician. And I used to see him in Dundrum. And I'd be going down an escalator, he'd be coming up. And I'd try to like make eyes at him, like try and throw the eyes. And then I saw him in Coppers one night and I made a beeline for him. And he actually knew me because we only grew up around the corner from each other. But I didn't know that he knew that. So he actually had more info on me. So I was delighted about that. He knew what car my dad drove and everything. I was like, oh God.
Pretty creepy.
I was like, this fella has it bad for me. So yeah, we met in Coppers.
Were you a regular? Around that time.
Come on. There was maybe a period of time, maybe that summer I frequented. Look, the thing about Coppers is, and we all know, nobody plans to go to Coppers. Nobody says, and we're going to Coppers tonight. Coppers decides you're coming in. It's that kind of place. I wasn't a stranger to the place at that time, but we went on a date maybe like the following week, which at the time felt quite fancy because I think Irish people only really started dating in like 2015 or something. Do you know, like we always thought dates was like real state of that. But we went
I was just before that time where...
Oh, were you? Yeah.
I kissed you so many times in Coppers, we should probably get married now, kind of.
Yes, exactly. Or like your friend... Yeah, exactly. Your friend would be like, are you going out with him? Like, no, but like when we see each other in the same place, we'll just shift each other at 2 o'clock in the morning kind of thing. Like nobody was doing the date things. Or I remember when people start going for coffees on dates. I was just like, right. Anyway, so I went on a date with him the next week. I went to a local pub and then we ended up in Coppers. And yeah, that's been it pretty much since. Yeah. Happily ever after. Happily ever after, yeah.
So according to my notes, you only started the comedy gig in 2022.
This is wrong. I started the comedy when I was 29. I'm now 41. That'll be 12 years since I started.
So tell me about this, because
yes,
I love chatting to comedians because
okay,
it's never their plan to be a comedian. And it's like, at what point do you go from whatever job you were doing to now, I can change my LinkedIn to I'm a comedian now?
Yeah, I can delete my LinkedIn. yeah. No, I don't know anyone who plans on that's what they're going to do. I'd always had this thing in my head, definitely not stand-up, because I feel like stand-up to me was quite an abstract thing. And I suppose when you think about it, like growing up, we didn't have like all the stations that we have now or YouTube, or it's not like I was really seeing a lot of stand-up anyway. But I would definitely wanted to do something kind of performery. And then I think maybe 29 was an age where I said to myself, I'm 29. You know, like 30, obviously, you feel like is a big age. And I was like, I really haven't done anything to put. I think it was the realization of, you know, if you want to do anything, you're actually going to have to put yourself out there and say, this is the thing I do. I was kind of doing maybe like bits and bobs, but hoping. My plan was, I'll be a runner on a TV show and I'll serve that tea in such a magnificent way that the producer will say to me, we need you in front of the camera. You, come on now. Do you know? I didn't want to be vulnerable, like to say the thing that you want to do. And I feel like as well, if you want to say, oh, I want to perform, I want to be on TV. If you say that in Ireland, maybe growing up this I felt people were just like, you'd want to shut your face with your notions. Like it just felt very notiony, stadia, cop on.
That lack of confidence.
Confidence is always still my biggest issue. And like
I find that fascinating though, because I can't imagine how confident you'd have to be now to get up on stage and hold a crowd for a stand-up for...
Do you know what's so funny? I was only talking about it with somebody there over the weekend. We were saying, I know people over the years now who are fantastic comedians, really, really funny people. and they're not doing it anymore. And the reoccurring theme always is confidence. You know, like you have good days where you're like, I'm actually a comedic genius. Oh my God, my family are so lucky to have me. And then other days you're just like, oh my God, stay to me. Stay to me. Can't believe I thought that was funny. Can't believe I have the audacity to be charging people money to listen to this tripe. And you just, yeah, it's very much, and I suppose because you spend so much time on your own as a comedian, there is that opportunity for your head to start going, you're yeah. But I went, so my first gig, yes, 29, I looked up open mic nights. So I must have been doing like a little bit of research online, like how do you get into stand-up or what do you do if you want to do stand-up? And there was a place called Battle of the Axe that was in Halfpenny Bridge Inn. And I emailed them and I was like, I'm looking to do a gig or whatever. And they get back to me and they just go, yeah, this date you've got 7 minutes or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, so scared. And
The fear of that.
Oh yeah. And I couldn't believe like they kind of wrote back and they'd give you a date. And, you know, I thought they'd be more like back and forth or whatever. And then I started worrying because then I was like, oh no. I was like, I'm after signing up for that. And I thought it would be like, 8 Mile with Eminem. I thought it'd be like that. I thought it'd be just like people like, wah, hooping and hollering and like wearing bandanas. And I don't know what I had in my head. But as well, I think with the word battle and then that, like, you know, like a roast battle, that's very kind of like American style comedy. So I was just, and I'd never been to a comedy club. I'd gone to the International once and they were full, so I wasn't even allowed in.
So why were you signing up to this?
Because I thought, I did think I was funny, or I definitely had people over the years who told me that I was funny. And I thought, it's kind of like showbiz for ugly people. Well, politics is the really ugly people, but the people who are kind of ugly, but they can get they can get an okay passport photo if they plan the day correctly. They're the comedians, and I thought that'll suit me. And I think I just was like sick of. I'd had loads of jobs, but wasn't happy with them. And not that I thought it was going to be my job, but I was like, what do I have? Or, you know, when someone would say, oh, in job interviews, right? What do you like to do in your free time? And I just was like, telly? Like, you know, I didn't have anything that I could say, this is my real passion thing or whatever.
Floating about.
Just exactly, floating about. And I knew I kind of had to do something. So I went along definitely early and I kind of said to the barman, like, I'm here for the comedy. And he's like, great. Like, you know, I've never met a barman, anyone behind the bar that's enthused about the stand-up. They all hate it. They're all just like, oh God, because they'd prefer if it was music, because it'd be like, hula, hula, and everyone would be up getting pints and having great crack. But obviously, comedy's on. Brings
silence.
Brings the mood down. Do you know what I mean? And people are like, oh, I won't go to the bar until this thick is finished their set or whatever, you know? Just like, don't want to drag attention to myself, like someone's dying on stage and if they see you walking to the bar, oh, what are you doing? You know, they're like, so yeah, barmen hate comedians. But so yeah, I went along on my own, but I think maybe, a friend of mine turned up and my friend's brother turned up. I didn't know they were going to be there. And then there's loads of you on at those open mic nights. And I think I was probably on like 9th or something, do you know what I mean? And in the stairwell, like giving it loads, like deep breathing and all that. And they had to do a vote at the end of the night, an audience vote, who was the best on the night. And I won. Now, about 20 people in the audience, like, do you know what I mean? It's not like X Factor or whatever. But that was enough to make me kind of go,
okay,
oh, maybe there's something here. And I think even like there was an American woman there, kind of doesn't count if it's an American, but still she said to me that, oh, I love that. That was so funny and whatever. So there was all these little things that just kind of went right with it. And I met other comedians at the gig and they were like, oh, how long have you been doing it? And I was like, oh, this is my first time or whatever. And they told me who to get onto. like how to essentially just go about getting gigs.
Yep.
And they gave me names and whatever. So I even went away that night with like, say, that little boost, but also like practical information that I never would have gotten without just doing a gig. So it was the plan was just to do it once. I had this fantasy idea that at comedy clubs, like people who wrote comedy for TV hung out in the back. I've yet to meet anyone who is actually got a gig on telly writing comedy and who sits at the back of a comedy club. I've met loads of people that have been like, they're script writers, they're comedy script writers. I've yet to identify what they've written. I don't know who these people are. I don't know why I thought I'd meet these people there. I didn't. I've yet to meet these people. But that's what I thought. I thought that's what it must be. I thought comedy writers would be like, I don't know, practicing material.
But fast forward, say, to now.
Yes.
You're selling out tours. You've done Vicar Street. You've done all across the UK. You
touch wood.
CV, touch wood. What's the skill of being a comedian? What sets you apart from the people that didn't make it?
Delusion. It's really a long game thing. So say like when I had that first gig to now, I've gigged every week. The longest break I had was I had my son and I didn't do a gig for 3 weeks. That's it.
Straight back up after 3 weeks.
Straight back up. So it's just any comedian you meet that is like, you know, consistently on tour, stand up all the time. It's just that they're doing it all the time. It's one of these things where there's no way to get better at it without doing it. So there's plenty of people that are super talented comedians and really funny people and really intelligent, but they have lives and they decide
that it gets in the way.
It gets in the way. Or they decide, I actually miss seeing my friends. Like you've no social life, but your weekends are totally gone. So you have to kind of be okay with that. And it's that. I really just think it is just the consistency of keeping doing it all the time.
And where do you get the material?
Just existing on the planet. I don't do something to think, oh, this is like material. And to me, sometimes the funniest things are in the tiniest detail of something anyway. So I think I'm always like, my brain is kind of switched on a lot of the time, but I don't go and do something and think, oh, this is going to be, I'm going to mine this now for material or whatever.
Because I assumed like you don't switch off then in that job, because everything that could happen at any point in the day is... You don't
switch off. But I think it's like for a lot of people, it's how you kind of... it's how you move through life anyway, that you're constantly just trying to find... It's whatever way your brain works, that you're constantly trying to find the funny side of it or whatever. Sometimes the odd day or two I will sit down, week or two, maybe longer, I'll sit down and actually be like, I'm going to write now. But I probably would always be like tipping away. Like I send myself little voice notes and write myself emails. But it's like, it's quick, if you know what I mean. I'll develop it on stage at like a small club.
So was there a moment when you were like, oh, I'm a comedian now?
Oh yeah, that's always a big thing, because you see, the thing is, and nobody really says it, most people, 99.9% of people, they do it for a long time while they have a job, you know, because it's a hobby. It's a hobby, yeah, it's a hobby. And then when you do start to get paid, you're not really getting paid much. It's not enough to like that you would say, oh, this is my living now. You'd be subsidising it definitely with something else. I don't know when I did, but I remember I definitely was like, a big day in my head, putting comedian in the bio. I definitely held back on doing it because there was a thing in comedy when people kind of announced that they were comedians too early. People just like, oh my God, you know.
It's like someone who calls themselves an entrepreneur. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah. It feels a little bit dirty. So, I was probably doing a good few years before, even as well, when people would say, you're a comedian, I'd say I do stand up. I was very much like, I don't want to, because I was aware then after doing it for a while that people had done these like really long apprenticeships, you know what I mean? But I definitely delayed on that.
This episode of Roasted is brought to you by M&S Food. M&S work with the best producers from Ireland and beyond to bring real quality to your table. Like their 100% Irish lamb. It's traceable not just back to the farm, but right to the animal. There are a range of cuts available, and because it's produced so well here in Ireland, it is packed with flavour. I'm so surprised after 3 weeks of having your child, you were back up on stage.
Well, I was afraid people would forget about me. I had a competition in Galway. So I did the competition while I was like heavily pregnant, like just about to have the baby. And then I got through into the final. And so I had the final to go to. So I was like, I've got to go and do this. Now, that was risky, I will admit, because I was driving to Galway and I had just had a baby. And I was like, so I literally just like gave him the feed. I left it really like the exact time I knew I was on after the break. I knew how long it took to get to Galway. Fed my son, drove to Galway, did the gig, came straight back. I was like, oh. But I had a real thing in my head, like, oh, people will forget about me. And it was at a time as well where like people did bits and pieces online, but it wasn't, you couldn't like promote yourself the same way as you can now, or, you know, it really was just about being visible in the like scene, if you get me.
It sounds competitive. You were afraid someone's going to take your place and you're gone. Yeah,
and I don't even know who, because it's so like you're on your own and there's no real, like it's competitive, but at the same time, who are you in competition with? Because everyone's so different. Or like, it's not like it's not like people say, I go to my one comedy gig a year and that's it. And every year I choose who the winner is that gets my money or whatever. I don't know. It's just, and I don't know who, I don't even think there was anyone I thought that would take my place. I think I thought maybe I had this thing in my head that, oh, they, and I don't even know who they were, but they all think now, because I've had a child, I know this is my third child, like, but they think, oh, she's had a baby, we won't see her around now, or like she'll be gone for a while. Because that's what happened in comedy a lot, actually, is people, when they had families, or when they settled down, men and women, they'd kind of gradually disappear out of the scene. You know, like if
in lots of professions.
Yeah, you know, like you mix newborn baby with trying to get a career off the ground, while maybe you have like a nice job in, you know, I don't know, a bank or, you know, something reliable.
Real job.
A real job, a 9 to 5, you're an employee, you have an employer, you have holiday days. For a lot of people, they can kind of be like, I think I'm, you know, I'll bow out now or whatever. So, look, it was all just me proving it to myself. There was actually like, a gang of lads in their 20s, like what would they have cared? They probably didn't even know I was pregnant. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh God, Emma's put on a bit of weight. Like, I mean, I don't know who these people were, but I think I always have these imaginary people who are out to get me in my head, and it kind of keeps me going.
That's one thing I've learned from doing this podcast, is generally you're talking to people who are successful in their field.
Yeah.
And a lot of the recurring theme is not an insecurity, but that lack of confidence piece.
Yes.
And these imaginary people in their head, where actually it's kind of them they're talking to almost. They're proving themselves wrong. I know
and I know that's what it is. And I know it's not even that, I know these people don't exist. Not that I think everyone is rooting for me, but people are busy doing their own thing anyway. I'm certainly not at home. I don't have a chart of how other people are getting on. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever. I don't know what it is, but look.
I think it's an Irish thing.
Is it an Irish thing? I'm glad, but it makes me feel better that you've said sometimes this is the recurring theme.
People will want to tell you why something won't work. I don't know, you go to other countries with potentially different attitudes and they're like, that's a great idea, you should do that. And do people end up as successful? Sometimes is that chip on the shoulder can really help.
Hopefully hopefully it is helping. And yeah, I don't know who these imaginary people are. Because actually, I told someone the other day in comedy, when I started, a guy who I thought was like my main competition. And I was like,
Name, please.
I can't. He doesn't do comedy anymore. He doesn't do comedy.
So you've won.
You wouldn't even know. Yeah, kind of. But like, we were not in competition. We weren't talking about the same stuff on stage. Our styles were completely different. The only thing was he was just slightly ahead of me because he had been around longer. And I just had this thing where I was like, this guy, oh, here he is again. And they were like, I can't believe you just picked him as your arch nemesis. And I was like, I think I just needed somebody at that time, you know, because there was nothing. When I was starting, like, say, there was like Republic of Telly, but then that was gone pretty soon. Or it was just basically, I feel like I started at the worst possible time ever. Like, TV was beginning to change. I remember meeting somebody, I think it was like PJ Gallagher, and he was telling me what they used to get paid in the Inter.
Back in the good days.
Yeah, and I was like, are you joking me? I was like, we're all working towards getting €50 for a gig. And he's like, oh God. Like, he was depressed when he heard this. So I think I'd probably watched all those people on TV, like, say, like Savage Eye and Naked Camera and stuff. That must have had an influence on me, all that comedy that was on Irish telly. So I got in just as that was gone. So maybe I needed someone to be like, that's my competition, because there wasn't really anywhere else to like focus it to at the time.
You seem to have taken off then with social media. That sort of came in at the right time for you.
That definitely helped. So I was getting on great on the scene. Like, I was getting, you know, good gigs and stuff, but like people wouldn't have known me or whatever. And then I always did a bit of social media. I probably just wasn't really like consistent with it. And then, yeah, social media helped. But like, it's quite embarrassing when you have to like just admit the fact, like, you know, it took a global pandemic for people to find me online. You're like, oh, that's quite mortifying. You know, it was a time where people had nothing to do but look at their phones. Like, it feels like a hostage situation. Do you know what I mean?
Don't worry, I took advantage of that as well.
Yeah. But no, so that was nice. Or not nice. Yeah, it was nice. But I suppose at the time you didn't really know how that was going to translate into, because you're like, we're just getting paid, obviously, or, you know, there was no money in it. So you weren't really sure if it would even translate into anything, and then if it would be if there'd be any like longevity in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we all know people that were like mad about doing videos online, and some of them I don't know what they're up to now, or, you know, they would just say, oh yeah, no, everything's open back up, and I was like, oh no, I'm still doing that.
I still have this job.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, it strikes me that you need a lot of confidence then to write a memoir, which you did.
Yes, yeah.
I even went into what's the definition of a memoir in the research.
Yeah.
And it was like, but
do tell me.
Incredibly personal. And from the person you've described there, building yourself up as this, I'm not really sure, I'm not confident, then to get to the point of writing a memoir. Why did you do that? Well,
it's funny, when you do stand up for a long time, it actually your filter's completely broken. It's a great thing that you actually don't care. Not in a bad way, like that you're flippant about stuff, but you're vulnerable. You start to be able to understand that, like, vulnerability is your currency. And the more real and the more you say something, I'm not talking about like, ooh, like, you know, risque, but if you're saying something, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to tell these people this. That's usually what the funny thing is, because chances are a lot of the people in the room have had that same dark, twisted thought or whatever, but they were just like, well, I couldn't say that to anybody.
God, you couldn't say that in Ireland.
Yeah. And I'm just like totally over that, because I mean, you need to keep writing jokes, because I'm always like reminding my brain, going, what else have I not told my mother? And I'm like, that's a joke. But memoir, it's actually quite like a private affair. I know I don't mean that in like a seedy way. But
it was a best-selling book. This private affair.
Private affair. But like with stand-up, you're on stage and you're testing stuff all the time. With a memoir, you're kind of locked in a room and it's just you and the editor, chatting back and forth. But I felt like originally it was just meant to be kind of a comedian's book, and then I started writing stuff, and they're like, "Would you maybe change, what the angle is here, or whatever, because this is
Interesting."
And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. But it wasn't still a definite. I was still just kind of writing stuff and, sending it in or whatever. So I think it was because I felt like if I was going to do that, I would have to just do it. So there was a couple of times where I was like, oh, I really don't want to write this now. But I was like, well, no, I have to. I felt like I had to give the whole picture. I couldn't write something and say, oh, I didn't want to write something and be like, I'm such a nice person, and I've anything that's ever happened to me, it was just bad luck. It wasn't anything to do with any of the decisions I actually made myself. I was just like, I'll have to go all in and just like expose myself, because
it's a very big thing to do.
But then I was like, well, it is that thing though, like if you expose yourself and people don't like it, it's like, oh. But if you do the whole thing of like that it's all a load of crap anyway and it's all lies and people still don't like it, well, what was the point of that? And I was like, yeah. And it's too complicated. Don't get me wrong. I love an old white lie. Sometimes I'm like, why did I just even lie about that? Like something pointless. Like, oh, sorry I'm late. I was on the phone to my mum. I'm like, I wasn't. I was scrolling on my phone doing nothing. But it gets very complicated lying, I feel. Like if you start lying in a book, no, it's just, who cares? I don't have that, but that part of confidence I don't have a problem with. So I don't know what the lack of it is. I don't know.
And what was
I've never done therapy. I shouldn't be using this as therapy. I'm looking at you for answers. I'm
You're
like,
talking
why?
to the chef.
Why? What is it? But yeah, the book, I found the memoir great, but then on other parts as well, you were like, oh, I've broken my brain. Because you start delving into stuff that you haven't thought about in years. And probably your brain just said, it's best you just
put
that in the box and forget about that. So I did feel, there was one point where I was like, oh, I've broken my brain now. Because said it to people before, but I was like, had a flu, right, at one point. And I told my mum, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling a bit better. And she sent me a message, and it was just like, how are you feeling today? And I looked at the message and I was like, what does she want? And I felt the eye roll, and then I was like, what am I doing? I was like, but I think it was just, I was writing about all stuff when I was a teenager, and there was a couple of weeks where I couldn't stand her. I literally could not stand the woman. I was like, trying to get the brothers involved. I was like, what's the story with Mum? I was like, say to her.
So did you have a bad relationship back then, or was it?
No, not at all. It was just like a very teenage relationship. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like, fight. I thought she was fighting against me, and I was fighting against her, and that kind of thing. But I hadn't thought about that in years. So I kind of caught myself, and I was like, God, that's a bit crazy. But it did, thankfully, iron its way out of my brain. But I thought I'd broken my brain at one point.
And what did you learn about yourself from doing that?
What did I learn about myself? I think I learned that, I don't know, you see, like, we're supposed to learn it. Are you going to change it? No, probably not.
What did you discover?
I would say, like, I'm probably quite hard on myself. I think I'm not as hard on other people maybe as I was when I was younger, and I think, oh, that's good. I think I'm kinder, but sure, look, isn't that all wrapped up in you being kind to yourself, really? It's a lot of that stuff. I think I just kind of looked at myself and I was like, oh, I'm like a grafter. I know that's kind of a Danny Dyer word, isn't it? Grafter. But I was like, oh, I thought because for so long I didn't find a thing, and I thought that I was floating and whatever. But I actually was working hard. I was just focusing it and all, like, I just didn't know where to focus it yet. So I was like, oh, like you were working, but it wasn't transpiring into anything, I felt, and I was like, oh, I actually didn't waste any time. I was worried that I'd waste time, and I was like, I actually didn't. But in terms of like learning, I think I kind of said to myself, oh, I don't think I ever want to do therapy. Is that a bad thing?
I don't think so. I think you did it. I
think I did it. I think exactly.
I found it fascinating in the research that you said that you were using your daughter as a soundboard while you were writing it.
Yes.
And you were writing about the time in your life when you were her age.
Yes.
And I was like, that's a very unique situation to be in.
Well, I asked her because I felt like she was the only one. She was the only person who, if they had an issue with something or didn't like something, I would have changed it. So if somebody else had an issue, I don't know if I would have taken it out. Like if she had an issue, I would have literally torn the page out. But I wasn't giving it to anyone else to read. I wasn't doing that with anyone else.
Yeah.
So she was the only one who got to read it. But then actually, so interestingly, she got to read a version where loads of stuff was cut. So she got to read all this stuff where they were like, I think this is actually too dark. This got very dark very quickly.
What age was your daughter when you were reading this?
What age was she when she was reading this?
Yeah.
So she's 22 now. So 20?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if she was younger, she would have been too young.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my sons just get a mention, but they're not actually in it, So, and it's a tough one because you're telling your story, but you have to make sure that you don't tell anyone else's stories either. Like, because I was laughing one day. I was like, some of these other people came out very well in this book, actually. They have nothing to be complaining about, but you can't. I was like, I can't tell someone else's story, you know what I mean? But I feel like the person who got the most stick was maybe me. I don't know, but that was probably for legal reasons as well. I don't know. Yeah.
And when you say dark, like how dark are we talking?
Oh, it was dark. It was really, really, there was dark stuff in there. There was stuff that was dark and it was like very grey. Like very, I would say, not unusual experiences, but it was like, I suppose the book was kind of let's have light and shade, and then it's like, maybe there was like kind of a chapter going where this is very shady, like it's actually completely dark, and they were like, I think they had said to me, the publisher, how do you feel? And I was like, yeah, actually I'd like to take that out. It was just because I think, sometimes if you're writing and you go into a certain zone, and I was like, I think I was actually kind of relieved. I was like, yeah, no, that would suit me if we took that out, yeah.
This is what I find fascinating about all comedians. It's the
darkness. Is it?
No, it's always very complicated, very aware people. I was saying to before
you're
this,
very aware, yeah.
I always remember when I was in school doing art.
Yeah.
And because I've interviewed a couple of comedians in this and I just find it
Who's your favourite?
I won't answer that. But it was like, in art, yes. I used to be always drawing the apple in say like first or second year, and it never looked like an apple. It was always it was terrible. And I know the art teacher, he had a phrase that he used to say, well, the skill in drawing isn't about putting the pencil in your hand and putting stuff on a page. It's being able to see and being able to copy what you're saying. He was said to draw was to see. And it's always struck me when you're chatting to comedians, it's like very sort of self-aware and self-reflective, which is then what they turn, the skill that is turning it into the comedy that people laugh at, that you make a career out of. But behind it, that sort of self-reflection makes you a very complicated person. You might disagree with me.
Yeah, I would say, I'd say I definitely am. I'm pretty good at like masking or whatever. Or I think, me personally, I think female comedians are better at masking because societally, chances are they probably are expected to more. Women are probably expected to be different types of parents to their male partner. So like, like somebody said to me, how do you prepare before a gig? I was like, put on a wash. I was just like, what are you talking about? But I think it's because I have the thing of, well, like I'm a comedian or whatever, but I'm not going to be told about it. I still have a family and a house, and like we need tracksuits for school on Monday, you know. So I think maybe women are kind of better at multitasking, I would say. I know that's probably a cliche, but I'd say basically what I was saying is the female comedians are sounder than the men. That's what I'm saying. It's short. Like we usually don't go off for retreats to write because we've to do. Right? After school club ends at 3, so I actually can't go on a retreat. No, you have to watch yourself because I'm very pro to like go into isolation. And it's not that I'm not socially inept, right? I'm not like, you know, oh God,
I can see that.
I'm fine, but I'm quite happy on my own. That's the thing. Like I'm really, really happy on my own. So I really have to push myself to go out. I can be like quite insular and self-contained, and I have to force myself to do things sometimes. Or I can go into like little self-destruct modes. That's a personal favourite of mine, where I'll just, not even too bad, but I'll just eat and not look after myself. And then I'm like, why am I doing that now? I caught myself doing it the other day. I was like, oh, she's on a go slow. She doesn't want to wash her hair. Oh, it's beginning. And I had to pull myself out of it. And even though I don't want to be around people, sometimes it is, I need to be around people. And that's a hard pill to swallow, because I quite, you know, to admit that I need people. Or that I like, you know, you do, look, everyone hates it, but you do need to do the small talk about the weather and stuff. It's actually good for you to connect. It's good to connect with other human beings.
And what makes you happiest?
Just being at home.
Yeah.
I want to be at home with my family. I used to get slagged by an agent of mine, because if he was trying to like persuade me to do a gig or whatever, he'd say, and like I'd be always doing the gigs, but like it was really far away or whatever, you know. The selling point for me would never be like, we have a hotel for you, or like they've a rake of pints there for whatever. The selling point was always like, they'll have your car running for you when you're finished. And I was like, great. Because I just wanted to get home and get back. I suppose I wanted to get back to my normal life, because I didn't want to let that life make me become a Does that make sense?
You're like the most boring celebrity ever.
No, there's no
Which
celebrities.
is a great thing.
There's no celebrities in Ireland, but no, I'm aware of the self-reflection thing. There's a fine line, because you've done enough of it now, Emma, actually. Do you know what I mean? The kids would like you to be engaged with us today, and, you know, maybe put your phone down. So, but I definitely still like I'm a people watcher, you know, and I think that's what I think a lot of comedians have in common, is the people watching part. But yeah, I just don't want to be a kid, you know.
Do you still get a kick out of people buying tickets and showing up at your show?
Oh my God, that's the biggest thing, because like I do a lot of stuff online, and that my favorite thing on that is when people tag their friend and they have a little private joke. And they're like, Sharon, this is you, wink, wink, whatever. I love all that. But when somebody buys a ticket, that's huge, because it's not just the tickets that people are buying. They're obviously having to like whether it's a babysitter or not, but they're having to. It's time. They're having to get people to come with them. So I know when I go out, there's, you know, maybe one person there that's a big Emma Doran fan, but our friend is sitting beside her going, what's their name was again? Right. I don't really like comedy. You know, like honestly, you get people coming to gigs going, I don't really like comedy. You're like, great. But, you know, there's people that have been dragged along against their will to come to the gig to make up the numbers and all that kind of stuff. So, like, it's huge. And then, like, some people, you might meet them, they're from Dublin. They're like, oh, we thought we'd come up and see you in Galway and make a weekend of it and all. And people saying to you, oh, we have a WhatsApp group, Emma Doran gig. And
that's cool.
That's so nice. Like, because your nights out are precious. Like, I know myself with my mates, it does take about 8 months to
Find a date.
to get everyone, and even still, someone's going to get pregnant. And you're just like, for f***'s sake, Claire.
And you're on tour at the moment?
I'm on tour, yes. The tour, name of the tour is Immaculate with an E. And it's all about, it's basically the 3 generations of family. So it's my family and then it's my parents as well. I've kind of reached that age where you look at your parents now.
Differently.
And you think, what's it all about? Like now this isn't in the show now or whatever, but my parents have a dog that they got from me. So my dog had pups, which was not planned, and they took one of the dogs. And they did this now. This dog, this is years later, this dog is not trained. This dog will not sit. It won't do anything, okay? My dad is obviously madly in love with the dog. But when they first got the dog, they brought the dog to the vet. And the vet said to them, is everything okay with the dog? And they were like, yeah, no, we're getting on great with it. And he's like, what about the food? They're like, oh, just regular dog food or whatever. And he was like, right, just like she's obese. So just wondering what's going on. My mother was giving the dog sausages as treats. Well, like my parents were feeding a dog, this small Jack Russell dog. They were feeding the dog. And the dog was still not trained. It won't even sit, won't do nothing. They were just feeding it. If it shut up barking, they go, very good. And they throw it sausage. And you kind of wonder, how did you just raise 3 kids and you've had a dog for 2 weeks and it's obese and the vet's worried about its heart? You're just like, what? So yeah, I'm just ripping it out of them. But I'm at a nice point now because I feel like it's obviously gags, but I would say I'd say 90% of it is like from that actually happened kind of stuff. So I feel like I have moved on. Like I have that level of confidence now. And I feel like, you know, some of the people come to see me know me that I like they'll be interested in this. I think before I was like, oh, they won't be interested in this. So yeah, that's the story.
To finish on food.
Yes.
You have dinner party.
Yes.
You've 4 seats to fill.
Ooh, okay.
Dream dinner guests.
And they can be dead or alive. No, they have to be alive?
No, they can be dead. They can be alive.
Dead.
We've had some mad answers in this one.
Okay. First guess.
The producer sometimes sweats at this point, wondering how much they'll have to edit it.
I know. No, first guess. It's going to be Kerry Katona.
Oh, wow, what a start.
Yeah. It's gonna. Well, it was kind of a toss, even though they're very different people. It was going to be Kerry Katona or Katie Price. But I feel like Katie might take over the conversation. She's just always got a lot going on. So Kerry Katona is going to be there, right? She's funny, right? Who else will I bring to the dinner party? Who'd be good crack? Short. What's your man's name? Short. Canadian comedian who's going out with Meryl Streep. Do you know his name? I can't think of him. Martin Short.
Okay, yeah.
We'll have Martin Short, Kerry Katona. Who else would we have? Have we ever got 4?
You have 2 more seats.
Tricky. Can we whack in Madonna there just for... I think I just would like to meet Madonna and see what the story is there. And one more.
That's a curveball. Would she be much crack?
I think she has to be. She's so successful. Do you not? That's. But I think she has. She's going to have good stories anyway, isn't she?
She'd have to have something to say.
She'd definitely have something to say. So Madonna, Kerry Katona, Martin Short. Who's the other one? I was going to say one, but I actually won't. No, do you know, I'm going to say this one. Yeah, I am going to say this one. Michelle Smith, the Irish swimmer.
The swimmer.
yeah. Let's all have a chat and a catch up. She could maybe, look, she might have to go. Isn't she a barrister now or something? I think she might have to go. She might only stay for the start of it. We might have to sub someone in for her. Right? Podge and Raj. Would you get them? Could they, if Michelle cut out early to go home, could you get Podge and Raj in maybe?
Who does Podge and Raj? Who are who's the brains behind?
It's Podge and Raj. Okay. No, I'm saying Podge and Raj. That's what I want.
Sitting beside Madonna.
Sitting beside Madonna, yeah.
I think that chat sums up this chat absolutely wonderfully. Emma Doran, thank you very, very much for your time.
Thanks.
If you liked what you heard, you can like and subscribe, leave a review, or even tell a friend, as Emma was saying, about the podcast. You can watch our full conversation on YouTube.
Oh, goodness.
It's all been recorded. And I will see you next time.